news from nowhere. The more news from nowhere. What can I say?
Oh, just stop it and get on with the show, will you?
Oh, all right. Anyway, welcome to another edition of More News from Nowhere. I have to put this away now. Right, so on today's kind of show, what we're discussing today, Paul?
Well, there's been a big case about a murder of a young lady, and obviously there's things coming through about a police officer that's maybe has caused that murder.
The Sarah Everard one. Yes, it's been in the news for and quite a bit in the media for a couple of days now, hasn't it? A few days. Yeah. It's a strange one, that. I mean, looking at it from a kind of numerological kind of way. I mean, it does seem like it could have been a part of a little bit of a setup. I don't mean about the murder as such, but there are some strange things like in numbers, because 33 seems to pop up, which is a very Masonic number. Her age was 33. She went missing on March the 3rd, which is 3 and 3. Her partner is also 33. So whether it has relevance or not, these numbers always seem to crop up in these kind of events. Lots of twos have been used, like 22 have been used before. There's always important numbers. So
7, 9.
Yeah, 9, yeah. So it's. I think it needs mentioning, because we know how they like, they like to use numbers and patterns and things like that, don't they? In these just to kind of like let you know what they're doing to those who can see, kind of thing. But I think with that, it's aiming at the kind of demoralization of men, isn't it? It's like it's attacking men, making people fearful of men, which is a bit, seems to be another fear agenda being placed. I mean, what are your thoughts, Paul, with that?
Yeah, I agree, Johnny. I think it's there's obviously like the Rona issue. Yeah, it's obviously hurting a lot of people, and but it's a minimal amount compared to the bigger percentage of who's actually recovering. So like 1% of recovery, 1% is passing away from it. 1% is recovering on average. But then obviously there's on this case there's obviously a low percent of women are dying from murders, and then everything has to change on the low percentage, which I'm confused about, really. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, women get. I mean, it's tragic. I mean, the whole thing is tragic anyway. It always is. But apparently, the average amount of women that are murdered in the UK every year is around 250. So, you have to ask, why is this? Because it just seems like. I hate to use the expression run of the mill kind of murder, but it's a murder. It's terrible, but it's no more tragic than any other murder. It's tragic, but it's no more tragic than all the rest of the 250 women that are murdered. So why is this being? There has to be a reason why this is being played so much in the media. Where this has been spotlighted, and not just spotlighted, but really pushed into where even royalty and celebrities are getting involved.
Exactly.
There's an agenda being pushed. Definitely.
I agree.
So.
And leading on to that, I think obviously there's this curfew everyone's now talking about, this 6 o'clock curfew. What's your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think again that's running into the whole putting this divide, putting fear on men. I mean, I read a report about that. I mean, I don't think it will come to pass. I don't think that's the point. I think it's just to get it in the media, because I think it was suggested by some baroness and some SNP leader or something. They suggested this curfew at 6 p.m. for men because women are fearful of men, and it's going to make more than ever average men in the street feel really bad if they happen to be walking behind a woman late at night, It's going to make every man feel a bit like, oh God, they're going to think I'm a murderer, and we shouldn't be living like that. It shouldn't be promoted. Yes, these things happen, but to make it into a national fear, it's terrible. It's just so this curfew. I think I don't think it'll happen, but I think it's just for that agenda. I think it's been put in the media, suggested to push the agenda of fear. It's to get at us men.
Yeah. So, we're doing like big restrictions on men to make everyone else feel safe. And again, it's safe is the buzzword. Again, like stay safe and protect the NHS, protect safe, and it's all that kind of stuff. It's really it's very strong buzzwords in my opinion.
It is, yeah. It's like, as always, they'll either create something or promote something that promotes fear, and then offer either a solution or listen to us, we'll help you. The leaders, authority will help you. They'll put this in place if you just do this. It's a bit like that. I mean, but leading on to that, we've got the vigil protest. They had a vigil, didn't they, for Sarah Everard? We had this protester, Patsy Stevenson. Have you heard about her?
No, I've not heard that one, Johnny.
That it looks very much like she's a crisis actor on it. She was arrested by the police at the vigil. I don't know much about the backstory, just that she had then appeared on morning TV, talking about it and wanting more protests against men, basically, and then she opened a Twitter account. It all seemed to happen like she's been given this platform, and almost like they're helping her build up her profile because she wants to push the narrative of women sticking together against men. Men are evil, or and wanting this protection for women against men, pushing that narrative. And it just so happens, just like any other crisis actor we see, she's an actress. She's got a profile. She's an actress, and and it's just running the pattern again for me. It's the same. You see crisis actors in other events like the Boston Marathon bombing and Manchester bombing. You looked into them and you see they've got a profile of being actors and actresses. It's like, this can't be always a coincidence, surely.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's just way too dodgy for me, and it seems to be following the pattern we've seen many times before. The way they run this narrative. It's all the same. So yeah, I think she's a willing accomplice, an actress. She's been given a role and she's playing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, and I think also there's much talk about how we can change this curfew idea already, even though it's not happening yet. But people are saying like, well, I want to start identifying myself as a female.
Yeah.
I think it's it's again play them at their own game a little bit.
Yeah, I think that too. I think it's putting an argument into the public, so that it's almost dictating how people think. They're creating these kind of debates that shouldn't really be debated in this way. I mean, you can't outlaw men. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the curfew will happen. Personally, I don't think, but I don't think that was the reason why it's in the media. Because they know it's not going to happen. But usually, if the media was legit, if this curfew was it's not going to happen. They won't print it. They won't have it like it is now. So there's another agenda behind that as well. So I think it's that. It's just to get the argument going.
Yeah.
To protect women. Men are violent. Can't be trusted.
Exactly. I mean, we come to like 2021, and now we're thinking about actually banning men to 6 o'clock. You're thinking like, how many decades of life existence? How many people have died through murders?
Yeah.
Now, why now all this stuff? Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're thinking like, well, if it happens now, that men start getting curfewed, then what happens in another generation? They'll start getting like scientists to like stop making men. They'll put like inject pregnant women to have any girls. that's how far it's going to go.
I think that's a good point, because I also think this is part of the kind of, I don't know, depopulation kind of agenda, where, I mean, we're seeing it with like the sexuality, this like trans fluid, you know, they're trying to stop natural kind of creation, aren't they, really? So if they're putting the narrative where women are fearful of men and hate men, they're less likely to go out with men and maybe, you know, turn to women. You know, I mean, some will do that. Some will, you know, be fueled by that and not be with men. And so the population will suffer. You know, I think it plays into that a little bit as well, you know. So I think that's a good point, Paul, there. Very good point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I think that's about it for today. What do you think? I can't think of anything more about it. Can you?
Yeah. I mean, if anything else comes up about this or anything else, we'll add it to another episode, you know. So, but yeah, that's just a brief outline of what we're currently, you know, looking at and come to our attention. But another good episode, Paul.
Exactly.
Again, I'm not going to end it with my guitar or my mouth organ or anything like that.
Thank goodness for that.
And I've run out of instruments, so we're just going to have to end it normally. We've never done this before.
Goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye for me.
Goodbye.
See you next time.